Welcome back to Vintage and Stuff, the podcast where we dive into the lives, the happenings, the items, the world of vintage clothing. It can be fun, it can be heartbreaking, it can be sad. You never know what you're going to get on Vintage and Stuff. You know, I've been doing comment contests down below, and I have the winner. The winner is Yeager, Yeager. You're always commenting on the videos. Thank you so much. You are the winner. Her best vintage find was a bootleg Puma bag full of 3D emblem Harley t-shirts found in Arizona, 2 feet from the Mexican border, literally 2 feet from the Mexican border fence. So I'm giving it to you, Yeager, however you pronounce it. Give me a DM on Instagram and I'll hook you up with $100 store credit. And this week, the contest is, I want to know the coolest, craziest, weirdest, wildest thing you've ever bought and sold that is not clothing. This one cannot be clothing. Comment down below. Weirdest, coolest, wildest, whatever thing you found. I'm going to pick my winner. $100 credit to FasandFrankVintage.com is coming to you. Comment down below. Today I have Kris, aka Robin Hood of the Goodwill. This man has been putting out vlogs of him and his cohorts at the Goodwill. The bins, people. But he is just a very relatable guy. He did 20 years in the service. Imagine that, 20 years in the service. He is an accomplished and actually renowned painter. He's a family man. And now he's digging in the bins. After all that, he's digging in the bins. It's a very interesting story, and this man is very, very relatable on so many levels. We have a great chat. He's just a good human being. I really, really think you're going to enjoy this episode. Also, you know, for the resale community out there, we get into lots of different things that this man has found and sold. He hits the garbage day in his community and just randomly picks up stuff. He's not super steadfast on vintage. As most of you know, I talk about this, but if you find something you should flip, you can flip, you should flip it. So we talk about all kinds of other stuff that's worth money. It's a really great episode, relatable on so many levels. This is the free 45-minute version. If you want to get the full 2-hour plus version, you got to jump on the Patreon. You guys should know that by now. What are you waiting for? You know you're going to do it at some point, so you might as well jump on it right now. On the Patreon, you get ad-free, full 2-hour episodes. Right here, you're going to get 45 minutes. And if you're on the YouTube and you don't want to jump on the Patreon, you can just subscribe to this YouTube channel, and the full ad-free 2-hour videos are also going to be on YouTube. You just have to sub. It's $5 a month, guys. That is $1.25 an episode because we're dropping 4 a month. Do the math. $1.25. You cannot get anything for $1.25 anymore. You cannot even close to get a coffee for $1.25. At least where I live. I think a Timmy's coffee now is like $2.60 for a small. Anyway, that's all it's going to take. So without any further ado, we're just going to jump right into this one. Kris, Robin Hood of the Goodwill. You can probably guess why he has that name. He literally blesses people. He blesses people. He's out there doing the Lord's work. So, enjoy. All right. Good morning, Kris with a K.
Good morning, Drew.
Robin Hood of the thrift. you got shouted out a lot. Like when I asked who people want to have on the podcast, your name came up multiple times. And I was like, I actually don't know this guy, but I'm going to start to find out who he is. And I started to dive down the rabbit hole a little bit. First of all, the name's pretty dope. I love it. I've recently rewatched all the old Robin Hood movies, actually. I'm a fan.
Okay.
But and I watched some of your videos and I've seen you sort of, you're a picker. You dig at the bins. From what I know of you, quick little intro, but you also buy a lot of other things. It seems like you started more in like jewelry, furniture, antiques, and things like that. We're gonna get into the history of how you got there. But I did see in one of your videos, you're giving this nice lady a handbag. And like you take this Robin Hood of the thrift, like literally, are you out there like giving this shit away, giving it a second life to somebody else?
Yeah. I mean, I got to live by the name, honestly. Like, I was sitting around trying to figure out how I was going to come up with the name. And, like, honestly, I battled with even starting a YouTube. But, yeah, I mean, I give a lot because I'm getting things that, pennies on the dollar, honestly. So, like, and I find things on the side of the road or find things here and there. If it's something that's going to make somebody happy or make their day, that's what's meaningful to me, honestly. It's not about the money. None of this is about the money. I've always been a little bit of a hustler and can make the money when I need it. It's more so trying to, I don't know. I feel like, but I have like this saying, it's like local legends, everything, like for the most part, everything I picked was within 10 miles of my house. And I'm trying to show people that, if you want to do it, you can do it. And like, just you got to start somewhere, but
yeah, totally. So how did you start then? How did you get into reselling in the first place?
Okay, so I've always had an eye for antiques and things like that for a long time, but like reselling, I started reselling 3 years ago, and I was getting out of the military and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with the rest of my life. It's kind of funny, like you spend so much time in the military and like okay, so I was a combat medic. I did a lot of things. I could technically probably go to a hospital and be a nurse, but I don't have the certifications. I didn't go to school. My schooling entails like 6 months in the military, which is why you see a lot of these homeless vets and things on the corner, because, the things that you've done in the military doesn't actually give you certification to go work on the outside. Like I can't even draw blood, and I've drawn tons of blood. You know what I mean? Like that's
such an interesting thing. I am aware of that. I mean, I'm not aware of what you're saying per se, but I'm aware that like there's a problem. There's a lot of vets that don't get taken care of right after they come out of the military. And why is that the government doesn't train in a way that can translate into the real world? What's the problem there?
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, I don't know. I think it's more of like a turn and burn situation where, they're getting this, it's a lot of money and like overhead that they have to have. But like government job is one of the most lazy jobs I've ever had, like, or that I've ever seen. Honestly, it's like kind of like everybody's just collecting a paycheck, except for the people that are out there actually putting in the work and like going off and fighting battles and wars and things like that. But like, so as far as like the administrative side of things, it's a mess. It really is a mess. So yeah, I mean, I was getting out and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. I've done a lot of things in my life, but I wanted to, okay, I'm going to have a pension. I can afford to do whatever kind of I want to do. But I started reselling to make money for passion projects and things that I was interested in, or, like I think I first started reselling to learn how to stock option trade, like to trade stocks. It takes, if you buy a call or a put on things like, the reselling thing is funny. I've made more money doing other things, but like there's like gatekeepers and things and like reselling, like it's like supposed to be like the sheet secret. But honestly, I've made a lot more money doing like other things, like for the example, like going out and selling, you know, uh, like for instance, I just sold a wheelchair for $1,200. I go sell a wheelchair for $1,200. I put $1,200 into my bank to um, learn how to stock option trade. It takes money, and it's like, it's like it could be a loss, and I don't want to take money from my family, and be
Yeah,
selfish
yeah.
like that, like potentially like a gamble. So I was making money to learn about it. Um,
So, I know a little bit about stock option trading. No, I've never really done it. I've done some research, but can you explain what that is? Because it's like a technical side of trading that not a lot of
yeah,
people understand.
it's actually not that hard to understand. Basically, you're buying each option is like 100 shares of something. So say like I was really getting into not just like I was focusing on mainly like company earnings. Like so there would be earnings reports, and that's when significant jumps happen in stock prices. Hey, like when Tesla was coming, like I made a lot of money off Tesla because they were building factories in other countries, and they were producing so much more, and like everybody wanted one. So like when the earnings come out and then they beat their earnings, a stock can go up hundreds of dollars, at the
Yeah.
time. So now you own 100 shares. So technically, so you're buying a moment in time, but you're not having to put up an enormous amount of money to actually own those shares. You're just buying a contract, which is significantly less. Like I think I was buying contracts for like $2,000, but in a matter of like 3 minutes, I was making 20,000, or
Wow.
losing that $2,000. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's definitely a gamble, but the
And
risk
there's
versus
there's like systems to stock option trade that are like, no, I wouldn't say totally foolproof, but there's like certain systems you can utilize to like very minimize your losses and
right.
safeguard your money. Like if you use these like techniques, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people that do things just like anything else, like with people that are trying to collect shoes or get a shoe drop or get whatever. You follow a specific person that, hey, and basically it's just like we're live right now, we're talking. Somebody else is on the other line that's maybe an expert and say, hey, okay, we're getting in now. Get ready to sell. And then you just made like $5,000. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's very interesting. It's, it's also extremely unnerving. I did it for a short amount of time. I basically got up and then bought actual shares and just have been holding it since, you know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
I got in, got out. It was kind of like, cause I got my ass kicked in like, in the, like Bitcoin and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I got into it a little bit too late. I can remember sitting around with some friends at like a fireplace, and they were like, when Bitcoin was like $200, and like they were talking about, I should have got it then. But I mean, I didn't get my ass kicked, but I made money, but I got a little greedy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it looks like it's come back, so we'll see what happens here. But it's all depends on the U.S. dollar and the turmoil. So we'll
Right.
see. So continue the story. So you can make a lot of money elsewhere, but you kind of mentioned that this is like good for your soul or
Yeah,
what
yeah.
have you. So
I mean, I was just reselling basically to do things like for instance, like I was really heavily into oil painting and art, and a little tube of oil paint costs you like $30. It's extremely expensive. Then you got to go buy the canvas, you got to stretch it, you got to
yeah,
frame it, you got to do all this stuff. And like I said, like art's kind of funny. It's kind of like real estate or like selling something. Like maybe you have like $1,000 t-shirt. Not everybody wants it. Like you got to find the right person. You got to find the right person for your art. So it was also like a risk to me to do something like that. So I'd go out and find traders, sell them, so that way I could go buy the goods that I needed to eliminate the risk in things, as far as painting. But honestly, I did really well with art. Um, I would do things like I met a lot of artists. I would like sell things like to support other friends. Like I bought a lot of art. Um, go set like that's because art's not cheap, especially if you're getting quality stuff. That you know you're banking on maybe an investment, but um, I don't know. That's kind of how it started for me.
So
And
you look at it like it's you're getting money on top of your normal daily life or income to like fund these different things you're up to.
yeah,
Because it's like an extra little side hustle, that it becomes like you don't worry about losing that money or spending that money or whatever.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Interesting.
And so that's kind of also how I can, you know, be the Robin Hood of Goodwill. I can afford, like, and I don't think people understand that. I think people think that I'm like a full-time reseller. Like, you know what I mean? And like, whoa, like when Jacob had came to visit, like I got, like, it's kind of like I gave him the Jim Morrison Doors AOP. Like, and people were like, I cried about it because I learned something from him. But, and in reality, it was just like $200. It wasn't like, but also, like, it was more so the time we spent, the things that I've learned about myself. Like, I do a lot of self-reflecting.
Yeah, I had that, I had that on here as a topic because I'm like, it's interesting. Like it's hard. I don't know how old you are, but you seem like a little bit older than like a lot of these guys you're hanging with at
Oh
the
yeah, yeah,
bins, right? Yeah.
yeah. I'm pushing 40.
Okay, so there you go. So I'm like, I'm 42. You had like this whole life. You've been in the
Right.
military. I want to get into that a little more too. And then you have Jacob over, young guy. He's got to be like he's in his mid-20s or something, right?
He's like mid-30s.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah.
Looking pretty good. Looking pretty good for himself. Okay, but so regardless of that,
I think.
you give him this shirt, and then you say in the video, and you had a little emotional moment, and then talk about how you learned something about yourself. And I wanted to dive into that. Like, what was that lesson, and what did that mean to you?
Yeah, it's kind of fun. I mean, the whole thing with like I said, I just started this YouTube, and the amount of outreach and the things that people, like, I've got so much love from just like in the DMs and people talking to me, wanting to express things to myself. Like, it fuels me every day, like, to go out and find something ridiculous so that way I could keep this train moving. And also, it's like, it's kind of funny because it gives a lot of people hope. Like, I'm like some like hometown hottie over here, you know what I mean? Like, that you remember, like, back in the day, like Maxim magazine, I would like open up the magazine to try to find the hometown hottie, like somebody that they didn't know about. Oh shit, like, I didn't read her story. Like, I'm just a normal dude. Like, I'm like, living in Virginia and like sourcing things within 10 miles of my house, and anybody can do it. But I'm spinning my wheels, man. Like, it's not like this shit doesn't cut. Like, I think people think that it's just dumb luck, but really, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of talking, like, and things. So my wife, it's like, it takes a lot of time from my family. And I've always battled with that, like, trying to balance work life and family life and, like, passion life. Like I'm the type of person, if I'm passionate about something, I go all the way in, type of thing. Like, till I become the best.
I'm right there with you, man. That's always a tough balance,
And I'm a new dad. Like, we just had a baby, like our first baby. So it's like,
congrats.
My wife's always on me, like, hey, you're physically here. You're here physically, but you're not here mentally, because there's not a moment in time in my day where I can't be working on something or, trying to source something. So it's like, when Jacob came, it's the first time that I met somebody that worked just as hard as me. Like, so I was able to put I took a week off and I just kind of let him ride and like just showed him my life. And,
like a week off, what does that mean? Like, what would you have been doing that week?
I just shut down eBay. I shut down everything. I kind of wanted, like, I wasn't even sure if I was going to film, honestly.
Okay.
I did film just in case, but I was just going to let him have the reins. Like, here's like a little look into my life. Let me set up a few things that maybe I've been working on. And like, I just want to show you this. Like, and I was appreciative that he would even like come and hang out and whatever. But, I was able to sit back as if I was my wife and he was me and see exactly what she was talking about. Like, I think the first day he came, we went to the bins and he had a video to do and he had a video to edit, so he went right from the bins was just frothing energy drinks and was up till midnight in the back room all by himself and just going to work. Like, I just met the guy like a few weeks, I was like, we didn't even really get a chance to chat or talk. But like, so I was like, damn, this is exactly what my wife's talking about. And so like, it made me cry. Like, it really hurt me. Like I felt extremely selfish. I felt a lot of things. It makes me tear up just thinking about it now because like I've taken a lot away from it takes a lot away from your family and the things that actually matter to do stuff like this. Like, for what? For like a couple likes on YouTube or a couple likes on whatever. Like, what really matters in life is, these connections and your family and the people.
Okay, I just wanted to tell you all about the Gem app. Gem Vintage Search app. It is an app that allows you to search all your favorite websites, eBay, Poshmark, Grailed, all of them in one place. So if you type in, I'm going to type in right now, check it out right here, Detroit Carhartt jacket, boom, tons of them come up. Now I'm going to filter them, everything under 100 so I can get a steal. Boom, there you have it. Look, there's a bunch of Grailed listings on there, all under $100 for the Carhartt Detroit jacket. Sick. Let's check out 3D emblem Harley tees. Boom, pages and pages of them. And let's go high price, $500 to $1,000. And boom, there's eBay listings, there's Etsy listings on here. Don't waste time searching all the different sites. Just grab the Gem app. If you're looking for something specific, search it up. It'll show you all the websites in one place. Download it on the App Store. Search Gem search on the App Store. Download it and don't waste any more time. Support them because they support the show. Thank you, guys.
Totally. That's yeah. I don't know, when you said that on the vlog, I had, I was like, I wonder what the lesson is, and that's surprising, and it's a great realization to have for you, because now you can. I guess now it's like, what steps are you going to take to like, how do you, like now, how do you see balancing that better and like being there for your family more?
I'm just definitely more self-aware. Like now, like exactly the feeling that she was feeling. And like, I can see things like in her perspective. So I do balance more. Like I won't spend all day out so much, like, or ask her, hey, is there anything that you need help with? Or more so I was just like, I am like a freaking madman trying to find different, things and everything,
I can relate to the, with this show, I get a lot of great messages, people hitting me up saying like, I love the show, like, great episode, or like, keep up what you're doing and all these things, and like, or like they learn stuff from it. And there's something about that that's like, very nice. It's nice to have people hit you up, which I'm sure is the same for your vlog. You have all these people messaging you, and yeah, sure, it's nice to have a like or here or there, but it's like, it's a bit deeper than that, really, because
Right.
you're like, you're motivating people, you're helping people, you're inspiring people. For me, that's what I find is fulfilling about it. It's something on a bigger level. So I can relate to that as well. But I'm right there with you with the whole relationship thing and being there for your family, because it is hard. You get stuck in your head on this and you can't let it go, and you got to like do the next thing, and you got to keep working, and it's like, it's self-fulfilling. You got to put the work in then to feel fulfilled for that day or whatever it is. It's like a need.
I think it's ingrained in us as men too, to be like hunters and gatherers. Like, well, that's what we need to do. Like, we've always been the breadwinners of running out, finding things, and like hunting, and like, I don't know. Like, I'm very lucky and blessed enough to be at a point in my life where I'm young enough that like I can reflect on those types of things now. Like, I also have an extreme empathy towards like, I understand. Like, a lot of people are doing this for a living. You know what I mean? Like, this is like what they're doing. So like, I see that and I understand that. Like, I get also just like, as far as like locally, with like a little bit of hate for showing the things that I show, or like,
For sure.
gatekeepers or people that like, for people filming at the Goodwill, like that's their only place to source. Like, so I understand that. And that's also why I battled the fact of whether even starting this thing up. But honestly, in the big picture of things, I think it's way more helpful than it is harmful.
Yeah, that's again, I've had the same type of reactions from people for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure Jacob has too. Did you guys talk about that? He's been doing it like on a big level.
Yeah, I think like so I hadn't even really. I told him too. Like I hadn't really known him. Like I don't know a lot. I don't know a lot of YouTubers, to be honest. Like I didn't even know like I'm not. And that's why when I was texting you last night and stuff, I didn't want to like seem like rude or whatever or anything. Like I had to do my homework on you. I watched like probably I watched a lot of your podcasts over the last 3 days, like with your dad and like. The guys that I binge with, they knew about you. The guys that I binge with, they knew about Jacob and stuff. But like, to be honest, there's like other YouTubers that I watch that are totally like, I think like unknown that inspire me. But like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like that's fair. I don't really watch. I know Jacob. I know Paul Cantu, of course. And
Yeah.
I used to like, back in the snapback days, there was a few kids that aren't even around anymore that I would watch. But I watch like cooking YouTubes and like different shit. You know, I'm not really watching like thrift YouTubes. Quickly to touch on this whole topic again, about like being present with the families. So I think this is a great topic, first of all, because I think this is probably like something that so many people in this community deal with, right? Because there's always, like you said, there's always something you can be doing that is on a work level, and that's probably in any industry. People just work too much and they don't take the time to like reflect on it, like you're saying. I recently read Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle. I don't know if you've read this book.
Nah, but I think you was talking about books and stuff that you were reading with that young lady.
Yeah, this one is interesting because it talks about like the timeline of our lives and how we get stuck in worrying about time, which time from that perspective is a made up human-made concept. As animals, we're just in the now. Animals don't know time. They're like, they're like in the moment of now. And we're always worried about the future. So like being addicted to the work and things, and also like humans or people in general, they tend to think, and I've been caught in this so many times where I'll be happy when, or I'll slow down work when I get to this point. Right.
Yeah.
And I'll spend the time with my family when I get to that point, or I'll be happy when I get to this point. And then that point never happens, because when you get to that point, now you have a new point to get to so really you're never like just enjoying the now. The theory is you gotta like get off the worrying about what this thing is, time, and like, something that's helped me is like looking at it from a perspective that right now, like, sure, there's things in my life that I could worry about. Mortgages, this, that, staff doing this, someone quit, someone's getting fired, whatever, all these things that happen in life. But like right now in the moment, I'm just here with you. Nothing's wrong. There's like, I can be here. That stuff is in the future or in the past, and I can just be here now, and there's nothing wrong right now.
I think that's one thing too that like really inspired me to want to do the YouTube too. Like I'm just showing that more so now too, is like people like live in the moment. Like, cause I remember when I first started going to the dens, there's a lot of other things that were going on with me, but like it's kind of antisocial. It's kind of like the most, it felt like high school all over again, like very cliquey. People hiding in the corners with towels over their carts, like not wanting to show anything, spending 8 hours of their day, like basically sitting on a stool waiting for new rotations to come out and not talking to anyone.
Yeah,
like
no fun at all.
Like, what is going on here? It's like, so I kind of wanted to I wanted to give a different perspective as to like, hey, there's more to life and sourcing than just like sitting in this place. There's actually really great things somewhere else. And like by talking to other people and like showing some love, like this world is like endless. Like, like I've gotten so much from just like just, I don't know, even our Ben's culture, like at where we're at now, it's like, it's totally grown. Like everybody's so happy for each other. But I've been into some Ben's, man, and it is just like the most depressing place I've ever been in my life. And I hope that I find something just ridiculous so that way I can bring these guys together and like show, like get a little camaraderie going to like, hey, I'll give you all this freaking, like when I went to Ohio, I went to Cincinnati, I went to visit my family, and I found a Beastie Boys. And they were like geeking out over it. I was like, okay, all the boys, let's go. Like round these guys up. I grabbed a little basketball and made a little hoop in the corner. Said if anybody makes this, they get the T-shirt. And like,
No way.
yeah, it was cool, man, because it was like, in reality, it's a $200 T-shirt, man. I'll go down the road and find a freaking air fryer that I could sell for $250, or like a freaking duck decoy that I'll sell for $1,200. Like, I'm very confident in my ability to make money, like in just weird ways.
That's awesome.
So like, I'm just like I more so just want to bring people together, and like, I feel like nowadays and with social media, we've grown a little bit further away from each other, like, with texting and not so much like everybody, like, I don't think people even use their voice box that much anymore, really. It's like mainly like text or, and it's a downward spiral from there, man. It does, it's not in human nature to not communicate and talk to people. Like,
yeah, that's what makes us humans. That's what separates us from the rest of the animal world, is that we have that ability to like just sit there and talk shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it is part of it. I noticed that too in my life. Like, I work a ton, and then I spend a lot of time with my family, but then like I'll go and just hang out with the neighbors, and we'll just sit there, like talk shit in the backyard. I'm like, I needed this so much.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I do that a lot.
Yeah. So I think you're totally right. I want to jump into more deeper into the YouTube stuff here. So I'm watching the YouTube, and I'm like, what the fuck is this guy filming with? How is he filming? It looks like he's got like a camera attached to his hip. Is this an iPhone? What's going on here? So explain like how you actually, the act of doing your vlogs, because something about your vlogs that I've noticed is very organic. It's not scripted. You're not talking to the camera ever. You're literally like out there showing your interactions with people and what's happening. There's editing, but it's not like crazy editing. You'll throw in some clips of some old videos or something, which is, I love that shit. But it's very, the way it's very organic, because you're actually like showing more so unedited clips of your interactions with people. And yeah, like how the fuck are you filming? And do you ever get do people know that you're filming all the time, or what's the deal?
I'm shooting everything on my Obama phone. Basically from the hip, like got a little holster, so it's like a 6-shooter, but I got the little Obama phone that I shoot off of.
Obama phone? What is that?
When Obama wanted to give everybody free cell phones, so you could go get that. Like a little cell phone I got on the corner of the road, like for free, and then like it's kind of small, so you can film discreetly.
Okay.
But, no, I shoot a lot of things off maybe my iPhone. And I have a GoPro, and like actually, like I had my GoPro. I would wear a backpack when I go to the events. I would wear a backpack and then just like attach it to here. Well, actually, I almost got kicked out of Goodwill. Like recently, like they wanted to ban me for filming because, like I said, a lot of the people, or the older people that were there, were like, oh, there's more and more people showing up, when in reality there wasn't. Basically, I was just like showing. I got away from like showing like comps of things and stuff too, like, but I basically, I would film right here on the chest, and like people would think that like I'm filming all the time, which really I was. It was doing a lot of like going through and like trying to find the sweet spot of something, and then like editing that part, like where something funny would happen. Yeah. But like, they tried to ban me. They tried to kick me out of the Goodwill for doing that, like, because they were getting so many phone calls from people saying, "Hey, my child, I think he's filming my child," or I think it's just making up some like crazy stuff.
So what happened? You had to like plead your case, and they let you back, and
it was kind of funny because we have a Benz and then we have a retail, and like I basically was like I I was getting two different stories. Like they could kick me out for it or they couldn't. Like, so like the bins manager was saying like, it's not allowed or whatever. Like, but I know it is because like other big YouTubers are doing it. So how are they able to do it? And then I go talk to another manager. I ended up having to go talk to like the regional manager. And we kind of came up with an agreement that, hey, yeah, like we have gotten a lot of complaints that you're wearing your GoPro out like and in the open, like it's just like flagging too much stuff. And like, so we basically said, hey, you can film, but film more point to shoot, like maybe hold it in your hand, try to stay up against the wall, and we're good. Like, so I don't know, it all got worked out. In the end, he said, you know, it's good for our business, you know, it's like, but you got to go talk to somebody else, like not just like Gabby.
Yeah, totally. You know, it looks so like a lot of those videos are from here. This is the angle, your backpack strap.
Either on the backpack strap. Well, now, like, I also try to like a lot of the people, a lot of people have been hip to the fact that like I'm recording. So like I try to get sneakier, so that way I can catch things more candid. Like maybe just like that I'm like holding it, you know what I mean? Like, and talking, you know what I mean? So like I want to catch things like in the act. I want to catch genuine expressions and genuine shock because I think that that's funny and like, I don't know. So like, yeah, sometimes
that's what reality TV is missing. It's like the real reality where you see all these shows and that you have a producer and a writer for these reality shows. You're like, how does a reality show have a writer? Well, they gotta get what they think is good for TV, and you're just literally out there catching the real shit, and you feel that. And I think that's probably why you have all these fans shouting you out, saying they want to hear more from you, you know, and it's working.
Yeah, I've gotten real slick. Like even when I was in the military, there was a lot of things. I was like, damn, I need to get this on footage. I need to get whatever. So I got really slick with like filming on the hip, like with my phone. I would catch the most, like in the military, it's like hilarious. It's like a melting pot of people. Like, and most of these people are coming from walks, like all different walks of life, but like you get some characters, man, like just like some people that just really make your day. And I would like film little short clips of people, and like I had like a personal account, but it was like mainly like military blooper stuff or whatever, because they would just you know, especially being with the Marines, they would do just dumb shit like every day, like it, but teabagging each other, or like, you know, it's just like this is not going on, or talking about like maybe an escapade that happened last night, you know, or like I was like, oh, I gotta get this on film. This is hilarious, you know. So I got really slick with like filming candidly.
Quick intermission to the show here. If you're liking what you're hearing, if you don't want this to end at 45 minutes, all you got to do is sub to the YouTube channel or jump on the Patreon. Link is in the description down below. Either way, it's super affordable, just over $1 per episode, and it's 2 hours plus every week. No ads. All the educational content, all the relatable content, all the good podcast stuff that you love. Jump on the Patreon or sub to the YouTube. Thank you, guys.
So the bins was not the first soiree into filming candidly.
No.
So let's jump into this military stuff. I want to talk about this. You know, this is interesting. I don't think I've talked to a vet really on the show. You know, how long were you in the military? And you just said it was the Marines?
20 years. Yeah.
20 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
The 20 years, basically, you know, you put 20 in and then you retire. Like some people stay longer, but your minimum requirement is 20 years. Oh man, I was scratching to get to that 20. Like it was hard.
I bet. Yeah. So give us like the rundown. You said for most of that time you were a field medic?
Yeah, so I was in the Navy, and that's called a Navy corpsman. Basically, it's a medic for the Navy. Like there's enlisted, and then there's officers. I know that you probably know the difference between like different enlisted and officer things, like as far as clothing, stuff like that too. Like things that you see. But I was an enlisted. I only made it, you know, didn't make it very far up the ranks because I was very vocal with like different things or whatever. But I was like, a medic, and the Marines don't have a medic. So I would basically dress as them and wear their uniform and go out and fight battles with them.
Wow.
Basically a front line. You know, they're kicking in doors and I'm right there with them. Knowing everything from the fact that, like, if they kick a door and somebody gets shot in the face, I'm the dude that's keeping them alive until support can come.
So you're medic, but it's like an unofficial title because that there wasn't
Yeah.
a position for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of crazy. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's you know, it's 6 months of training, and then you go to like what they call field med school, and basically live out in the desert, and then they'll try to train you the best that they can train you. Like with, you know, for the most part, like if somebody gets shot in the chest, you know, you apply, you know, there's different things that you can do or whatever, but they'd run through things. Or somebody gets their leg blown off, you just put a tourniquet on them. Or like, you know, they would do training things with pigs because the pig's anatomy is like basically mirrors a human. So they would shoot pigs in the chest, and you'd have to keep them alive to like train to get, you know,
Damn.
out to war and actually do it. Yeah.
That's wild. So what wars did you go?
I was
fighting?
basically from Iraq and Afghanistan, basically. Yeah, I mean, most of what my time was in Ramadi, which is Ramadi, Iraq. So basically, when things kicked off, it was in Fallujah, and then basically all the terrorists ran to Ramadi. So they called Ramadi the capital of Al Qaeda, and it was like a freaking bee's nest of like just insurgents and stuff. And they, you know, just get in there, and I basically was living out of. It was different deployments or whatever, but like my first deployment, we lived in a post office and just fortified that thing and would do patrols like within our area. And then there'd be other little bases and camps throughout like the city. And then other people would hold that little patrol and like keep things down. But yeah, that was just like, it was extremely interesting. You know, I was a young kid basically getting out of high school and dealing with the fact of like life and death, which is also why I do a lot of reflecting. I've done a lot of therapy in my life because of the things I've seen. I've lost a lot of friends that were extremely, you know, young. So I just have an appreciation for life, and I have an appreciation for people because honestly, this is like, life is extremely fragile. Especially, I know that now, especially like being in the healthcare for 20 years. I could do this podcast and go down the road and it'd be, you know. So I think about that every day, honestly. And it's also kind of why I do what I do. Like I feel very blessed and fortunate to be able to just do what I do every day. I don't know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, it's a good take to have on life. You know, you mentioned off camera, I think, about, you know, obviously you've lost a lot of friends, you've seen a lot of crazy shit in your time. 20 years in the military will do that, I'm sure. How do you deal with that stuff? Like, was it hard for you coming out after 20 years? And
it was extremely hard for me. Honestly, it was extremely hard for me when I was in the military. It was like when I hit my 14-year mark, I was like not a happy person. I really went into in-depth therapy, like with seeing people weekly, you know, and on different medications and different things. And honestly, that's when I started painting. I learned about art therapy.
Oh, wow.
And so I basically, like, I was so scared of dying that and being forgotten, because I had seen so much of that, that I was really trying to make a name for myself. And I think I still struggle with that now. Like, I hate to die and be forgotten. So I try to make an impression on people when I can and do things to let my name live on, you know? So,
were you married? Like, how long of that time were you married?
when I had honestly, I didn't want to get married. I struggled with the fact of having a child because I was dealing with so much internally. And also I was doing something extremely dangerous for a living, and the deployments and things like that. Like I was like, I stood in my feet on marriage, and my wife and I had been married, we was together for like 10 years before I actually like got married, you know what I mean? Like, and then I didn't know about the idea, and I wasn't sure about the idea of even having a kid because I was still dealing with a lot of things mentally. Like, and I still do all the time. Like, I've definitely gotten better, but, yeah, I don't know. Well, I don't know.
Yeah. Would you ever like now after your whole experience, would you promote going into the military to your own kids?
Maybe not what I did, that's for sure. But like honestly, it was a really good experience, and maybe not spend as much time as I did. Like, because there's a lot of benefits to it. Like, I've had friends that just put 6 years in, and then basically you get your GI Bill, and you can go figure out what you want to do for a living, go to college. I'd do it all over again, to be honest. Like, it really made me a better person. I am a leader. I've led people. I've done things. Like, I went through a lot of struggles with it, but like the life lessons, like, I'm almost 40, but like in life lessons, man, I'm 100 years old. Like, I wouldn't trade it for a thing, honestly. Like, I've been through a lot, and I've learned a lot. But it's mainly all from the people. Like I said, the melting pot of people. And the things that I've learned has built me to who I am today.
Yeah. So you mentioned the art therapy, and I know, you're a professional artist now, and that's how it started in this art therapy.
So I started, like, I was thinking of, I wasn't very even close to my dad. Like, after one of our first deployments, my dad died. And he didn't have anything. He didn't really have anything. Like, he lived in a trailer in Indiana, and his prized possession was a crappie, a black crappie that he got. And it probably was the Indiana state record crappie, but he didn't even have enough money to go get a license to go get the damn thing registered and looked at. But he ended up getting it mounted, and that was his prized possession. Like, if anybody would ever come into the house, look at my crappie here or whatever, that's his story. That was like his thing.
That's a fish?
It's a fish. Yeah.
Okay.
So you got a fish. Yeah. It's kind of like when people, you go into somebody's house and they got a deer head there, or something like that.
He had the state record.
I'm thinking it was probably the state record, but, he never got a license to go take it in and show it. Like, but so, like, I got that from him. And I was sitting around at my house one day, and I was like, damn, every time I look at that fish, it reminds me of my dad. It reminds me of stories. What can I do as a person to create something like that? And, like, I started going to art museums and saying, like, Van Gogh, Jean-Michel Basquiat, Warhol, all these people. And I was like, wow, look at, like, then I started diving into their stories. You know what I mean? Like, how they got into what they got into to be, like, there's so much inspiration, and they've inspired so many people from their artwork and their stories. Like, this is what I need to do. And that's why and how I got into art, and I dove into it heavily. So I've always done things like I said, I have a lot of empathy for things, but like I found some windows on the side of the road, and in my head, I've seen a lot of things. Like, as men, we're supposed to be strong. We're not supposed to show emotion. We're not supposed to do a lot. Like, it's like, but in war and other things, like mainly in war, I've seen so much of that. So when I came back, I wanted to do this series. It was called The Sincerity of Man. And so I got these, like, war-torn looking faces, and faces of men crying, or faces of men that were had went through drug overdoses and like we're heavily into drugs and like getting these like crazy, just like faces. Like you could tell a lot by people's facial expressions and things. And like I did this painting. I was just getting stationed up in Newport, Rhode Island, and they had like a regional, like from New York, Boston, everything. And there's a Newport Art Museum was holding a kind of, I guess, like an open call, bring in your painting, give us $50, bring it in. And
Cool.
somebody will look at it. I won the entire damn thing.
Wow.
With that painting.
Crazy.
So like immediately made a name for myself. And people were like, well, who is this guy? So then like when you win that, it gets into the museum collection. Like they automatically put it in there. It starts to go on rotation. So it's seen. Like, so already this thing that I had dreamt and that I wanted forever happened for me. And that's the way it sort of happens in my life. I don't know what it is, but like I'm kind of a spiritual person. I believe in a lot of things, But
that's amazing. We need to get a picture of that painting for this video for sure.
Okay.
So now, did that like jumpstart you into going deeper with the paintings? Are you still actively painting?
Just like anything else, you like anything else. Yeah, like, but I had to take a break off of it. Like, so I pushed it to the point. Like, once I got to like, I almost got out of the military. I was selling paintings for like thousands of dollars at this time. Like, it took a while, but I ended up, after I won that, I got my own studio, and I'd go from work to the studio. My wife would get off work. I'd come home, make dinner, and do it all over again for like 5 years. Because my end goal was, after that duty station, was to get out and be a full-time artist. And so I applied to Rhode Island School of Design, Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts. Like, I wanted to go to like a really good school. I got accepted everywhere, and I got a full ride based off of my work. Like, it was like their highest like scholarship at every place. They just loved the story. They loved the art and everything. And my wife just did not want to move to Philly and like live downtown. We're like kind of like not that type of people. So I decided to like step back and take a break from that, and then just finish my military career and paint it on. I would paint things for people, like, and do commission stuff like that. Like, I had I've always had mentors, like, with different things, like whether if I get, for instance, the options trading thing, I always had a mentor. Like art, have a mentor. Like clothing, like any type of project, I try to find the best people that I can to like feed energy off of, like, to keep me going in those things. But basically, the guy there's a guy named Ron, like, he said, basically, he's like, dude, you have something that's unteachable. Like, your work is like something that's extremely pure, and like they can't teach that. You're going to go to school and they're going to try to break down the basics of color and all this other stuff, and you're going to hate it. Like, you don't need it. And so I kind of just blew off all the other stuff and stuck with the military thing. And I said, once I get out, then I can do whatever the hell I want.
Another episode in the books. I got to meet another great human, Kris. I did not know him until this episode. Mad people wanted to have him on the show, and he's gaining quite the following on the YouTube. So go watch the vlogs. And guys, that's why I do this. I get to meet really cool people. I get to hear their stories. I get to talk to them. I get to, learn about them. I have a very inquisitive brain, and I want to know what makes people tick. And I found Kris to be just a nice guy to chat to, but also very relatable. I see a lot of myself in him. And yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Again, if you want it to keep going and you want to listen to the other hour and 15 minutes of this episode, all you got to do is jump on the Patreon, because there's lots of good, juicy content that you have not heard yet. Jump on the Patreon or sub to the YouTube. Link for the Patreon down below in the show notes. And right below this video, you can join or subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's all it's going to take. Make sure you check out the Gem app in the App Store. Gem search in the App Store. all your vintage searching in one simple place, one app. It's all you need. Catch me Wednesdays on the Easy app, EZZE Live, and make sure you check out FisandFrankVintage.com. Grab yourself some great vintage, 30% off with code VTG and stuff. Again, that is down below as well.